Okay, here's a pair of Viper 8s, and I want to show some damage here on the right skate, way in the back here in the heel area. There's an area right here where this fellow had one of the gentlemen that has an automatic machine like mine went ahead and did some passes, but it still doesn't clean up. So this is kind of a situation to where you've got damage from right here to about here. There's a good chamfer. So to fix this, you could go ahead and take a grinding machine like Wissota, SSM2, Blade Master, Blackstone, whatever, and just wail on this area. The problem with that is that you'll get a good edge here. It's a cheap way to do it, but then you're going to screw up the balance in the sense that you've turned down the back of the blade here. And when you turn down the back of the blade, when you stand on the skate here, you're going to create to where you want to fall backwards. It's kind of a dangerous situation. So the correct way to do this is, you can say, well, you want to cross grind it to get this to be a good edge, or put it on a regular machine and just go through and just do a bunch of passes from here to there, the same pressure, to try to keep the profile the same. If you just wail on this, there's so much damage, you probably got to do 20 passes or so. There's a real big chamfer for some damage here, like it either got hit real hard, walked on the concrete. It's kind of strange because if you walk on the concrete, normally it's going to be in this zone here. There's a little place here, it needs some work, but this is the part he complained about. He said during crossovers, he said he'd bust your butt. And I'm purposely got a light here and I'm rotating this over, and right there you can see the bad zone. That's why I've got the Sharpie on here. So if I just go through here and play blind man and feel this, it's got a good sharp edge on the outside, the inside edge too, except slightly marginal here. Probably needs a few passes here, but this is going to require, if you put this on a automatic machine, it's going to probably take 20 passes to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this on a Wissota here and just use a uniform pressure and get down to where at least I've got some good steel here. That's about it, and that's what happens sometimes on skates. There is not a uniform wear because you've got damage in one particular area, and there's no magic bullet to fix that. This steel is fixed to the holder, and I don't know for this particular holder if there is a magic screw. Some of the real old CCMs from decades ago had a screw you could go in through the boot, and then there was a little lollipop here that it grabbed. This does not have the clicker, so a lot of times on this with modern skates, it's better just to go ahead and replace the steel. Now you can see through here, it's a little hole there. That might be that it's molded in. But to go in here through the boot to do this is generally not worth it on a moderate grade skate. So I'm going to go ahead and sharpen this here, get that nick out. Okay, I'm going to dress Wissota a 1/2 inch radius of hollow here. I don't have the machine bolted down, so I have a little bit of whoop-de-doo. I'm not running a vacuum here because it makes a little bit better video. What I do is I turn the diamond here, get it close. Have these slightly snug. This is the area that I'll want to go ahead and cut down. This has got a 3mm blade. A little bit of a false start there. I really shouldn't turn the skate very much. Got the hose in the way here from a machine. Get that out of the way. Now I can look at this and see that I've actually gotten a little bit good bit cleaned up. That wheel there is just about worn out. I've actually got to where I've only got a small area here to go. I don't have the most uniform performance there. One more pass. Now I'm going to go ahead and dress this. Notice that cut this there. I got a good edge there. So I've got a square over here. You can use a bat gauge. I use a Starrett square here. Turn this off so you don't hit your fingers. Again, I don't have this bolted down. I've got some crap here on the table that I can go through here and put this gauge on here and look at the edge. See that it's square. So I've got a good edge right here. So you don't have to take this out of a holder to check as long as you got enough blade on here. If I go over here and look at this, right through here, I've got a good edge through here. So I've gotten the chamfer off, cutting this plus the other part of the blade. And I've actually bought a pair of used skates where somebody just turned this down. That was kind of terrifying to be on because you screw up the geometry of the skate. If you take this and just wail on one end, then it'll be to where you want to fall over. I got a pretty good finish right there. That's about it. This again is a Wissota 911. I've got the wheel where I need to replace that. And you can still cut a small wheel with this. You keep on moving this in. But the spark breaker is tied to the frame here. So you get to where this is getting closer to the spark breaker. And I generally tend to do small skates when at the end of a wheel on a grind machine. Okay, that racket back, and there's another machine going, so apologize. This is the left skate, and it's got a damage area from here all the way down to here. So an automatic machine, you can probably just wail on it a whole bunch. or on one of the grind type machines, same thing. You've got to pay some dues and grind all this down. If you just grind again in the area that's damaged, you're going to go ahead and have it lower here, and you screw the profile up, and so this is the heel part, you'll tend to be falling backwards, but it's a pretty good damage on here. And what I'm doing, I'm going to zoom in here, rotate the skate around. Right there you can see where it glistens. So you've got damage from here all the way down to about the center of the holder. That's pretty bad. Okay, I've dressed the stone here. I've already made about 2 passes, and I've cleaned up from here all the way to here, but from this to this has still got the chamfer. So I'm doing the whole blade to keep the profile about the same. Now I've got it to where still got a good bit to go. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 passes. So the damage zone, what's happened, gets smaller and smaller as you do more passes, because I've got a huge chamfer on here. So, because I've worn the wheel, go ahead and turn this just a little bit, dress it. This little bad start there. It's about a dozen, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now the damage zone's only about an inch through here, but that's still enough to bust your tail, depending on what the radius of curvature is from the side view. If you got it in a big flat area here, it doesn't make as much difference, but if you get a big zone, it can be that that's the only part you're in contact with the ice. Okay, now I cleaned it all the way up. That was about probably 17 passes. Again, this is the end of the wheel. Got to change that over. Higher end skates, you just replace the steel, or you use a cross grinder. But that's what happens. You got to do a bunch of passes. If you just wail on this, you're going to be to where you tend to fall over. So I was trying to do the whole thing. This wissota goes opposite way of everything else. I'm going with the wheel. So by automatic machine, I mean like a skate pal. It goes back and forth with the disc. Maybe like a Sparks machine. Or a Bauer Advantex. It goes back and forth. The wheels on these go back and forth like this. They do make a flat wheel. Bauer Pro Sharp does. And they also have one now for Sparks. For the non-commercial version too. So this is the left skate that I had to do, I want to say 16 passes. It's a lot. And it's got all good sharp edge through here. There's not a big chamfer anymore. That's what happens with damage. Again, a lot of times better just to get new steel if you got blades that are have a spare set. The advantage, you can just swap it out. If you get somebody and they just repair this, then you're going to go through and tend to want to fall backwards. It screws up your balance pretty bad. So that's why I went ahead and sharpened from here all the way over. The cross grind machine, you do the same thing. You have the wheel turning this way. You can just have one of these about flat and do the same thing. That's what you got to do sometimes, pay some dues. Doesn't matter what type of machine you've got, you got to do a bunch of passes to get good edges.